Hello, everybody, and welcome once again to the FarrEnuFF Podcast, where we talk about music and the arts. Maybe some arts and crafts, like crocheting and knitting and shit. Exotic tap dancing, maybe some fencing, maybe some helicopters, planes, automotive racing, whatever I feel about talking about, Just keep it real. Episode 2, all right, doing better, progress. Better than just having a one and done, Coming up in a little bit, I got my good friend, Mr. Garry Boothe, on audio. Gary and I play in a band called Swamp Frog, where we do, right now it's primarily covers, but been together since March, and maybe I'm biased, but I think we sound pretty good. But carrying on with the tradition that I like to have with this show, I like to open it off with an original song of mine. I mentioned this on the last episode. This one's an original called Start All Over Again. And at the last one I had mentioned there was one part of the song with the bass. I was kind of new at playing the bass, so the bass is carrying on like an E flat in this one section, while the actual chord that's supposed to be played is a G minor. And the two chords kind of fit well together, and I decided to keep it, and it's one of my favorite songs. Also the first song that I wrote on a ukulele, and one of the first songs I even knew how to play on a ukulele. But, without rambling on a whole bunch, this is Start All Over Again, written by yours truly, and stay tuned for Garry Boothe.
I'm sitting down and singing, 'cause my ears won't stop ringing on and on. I've got to put the world on mute for a while. I know that this life of mine, I can have the love of someone one more time, or at least a girl who make me smile. Oh, but I'm broken, so I fear my heart will get stolen. Should I leave myself behind for all the new things I will find? People can be so unkind, they undo the ties that bind. Why do I always find I have to start all over again?
So that was Start All Over Again. If you like it, check it out. I believe it's on Spotify, and I know it's on YouTube Music, and it's coming soon to the rest of the streaming services. Show me some love. Check it out. All right, we're going to get Gary on the phone here.
Hello.
Hey, Gary.
Hey, how you doing?
Can you hear me all right?
Yeah.
All right, well, we're live and rolling. It's good to have you on the podcast, brother.
Oh, good to be here. Thanks.
Yeah. So I guess the first thing I want to ask you is, as you know, you played drums. What drove you to that instrument specifically?
Well, when I was about 11 years old, my dad wanted me to take guitar lessons. I took about 10 of them, and I said, this is not for me. So there just wasn't enough stuff for me to play.
I guess that makes sense,
Yeah, so I bought a snare drum and had a little cymbal, and started from there. Bought a set of blue sparkle and a red sparkle set, and I had me a big old double kit.
Ooh, nice.
Started playing Kiss.
There you go. That's the way to go, you know?
Yeah.
I love Peter Criss's drumming, you know?
Oh, me too.
Like, it's just simple, straight to the point, and then when they decided to do the disco, he's like, oh, I'm not doing that. You know?
Don't blame him.
I mean, I can't relate on that. I'm a disco slut.
Well, you're just a slut anyway.
I try to be. So, yeah, here I am fumbling over my words here. So tell me, what's your favorite musical memory that you can think of, just off the top of your head? Like, if somebody asked you, like, what's that one thing you remember most?
When I got to do, well, I was playing with Tommy Jennings, Waylon's brother.
Oh, cool.
And we went to Amarillo, Texas to do a show. And we walked in the club, and there sat Waylon and Willie. So we got to party with Willie and Waylon a little bit, and then they got up to do some show with us that night.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh,
that was awesome.
That must have been surreal. The closest I've gotten was I got to play with Andre and Gary from 808-4, which...
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they're like, you know, Vermont legends and stuff like that. But, such good players.
Oh, let me tell you, Willie is definitely fun to party with.
Oh, I imagine. So, like, I didn't get to ever smoke with Willie, but I remember working at Atomic Professional Audio. I had an open mic night the following day. We were running sound for the Essex Fair, and Willie was the headliner, and the night before was Ray LaMontagne. It's like, so I got to meet all those guys. Great bunch of people, you know. But I thought an open mic night was more important than meeting Willie Nelson. And so I was like, I look at my buddy, he's like, you make sure he gets this joint, you know? And it's like, and to the best of my knowledge, he got it. I mean, he probably didn't smoke it, because it's like, why would I want some fucking nobody's weed, you know? You know?
Yeah, really. Willie smoke anything.
Oh, really? That's good to know. My kind of guy.
Yeah, so he probably smoked it.
That's cool. Yeah, but I don't have any like fancy like meeting musician or celeb stories. I mean, I did meet the drummer from the Meat Puppets, which was kind of a cool story. Like, I was like with my ex-girlfriend. I think it was had to have been like 6 years ago, I think, and we were definitely the biggest fans in the place, you know.
I'll bet.
And so like, I put down a couple rears, you know, surprisingly. And so they're like, do you got any requests? And like a jackass, I'd say like their most popular song. You know, I'm like, play Backwater! Like, woo! I'm right in front, you know, like, so there's no way they didn't hear me. And he then plays an opening cut. I don't remember what the album's from. I think it's called Forbidden Places, but it's no longer in print. So it was the opening cut, so he was expecting to throw me off, and I knew every damn word of it, and it's like one of those like, but actual words, you know?
Oh, yeah.
And so I'm just like, oh my god, they're playing Sam! And it's like, so after they get all done, you know, I see like they got their stuff on vinyl, and so I'm like, oh, cool. It's like I like to get me some, you know, good old vinyl, you know, and the drummer comes over to us and he's like, you guys were rocking harder than everybody there. It's like, and it shows. It's like, what are you buying? And my ex-girlfriend, you know, she goes, what's the album with the best bass on it? And so he points to this one. I don't remember exactly what it was called, but I think it was their third album. And so we get that, we get their new album on vinyl, and we get it on CD. And so he takes all our stuff and he brings it out to the bus, and they had the whole band sign it. And what made it weird was the one that he recommended, and I think this is why. The vinyl jacket had like drawings of the band, but it was only the top half. Like, so their legs were cut off. So they decided to draw the bottom halves of their bodies, but it was like, you know, like plants and squid tentacles and trippy mushrooms and stuff. It was like, wow. Like, that's my only fancy story I got. Like I met that dude. I gave the guitar player's son a hug because he was in the band too, and he was out in the smoking section. I'm like, you're mingling with us common folk? I was like, and I just go over and give him a hug. I'm like, no homo, bro. I was like, but I fucking love you. It's like, you're living the dreams. Like, you're playing music with your dad, who's in the Meat Puppets.
Damn.
You know?
Yeah. I did it was a 28 or 29 show concert tour up in Canada with Earl Thomas Conley. I kind of enjoyed that too.
I bet you did. What was that like?
Scary. Well, you know, when you're sitting up on the stage there and all the lights are off, people can't see you, but you can see all those people.
Oh, right.
And then, you know, you're with a professional group, and there's this idiot stage manager. There's two of them. There's one I was supposed to be watching, and the other one kept coming up going, 3 minutes. And then he was gone. You know,
just poof.
Come back up. 2 minutes. I said, would you quit that? You're making me nervous here.
Right? It's like, I bet once you started playing, it was fine. It was just that whole...
And then he come up, 1 minute. And I'm looking at this other guy, and he's telling me not to pay any attention to the other one. And just as soon as the guy gave me the go, I kicked into a song, and I was all right.
Just kind of reminds me of that scene in Dewey Cox where it's like, no pressure, just lay it down exactly the way that it's on the record.
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly.
No pressure, no pressure.
Oh, leave me alone, dude. I know what I got to do here.
No, I get still to this day, I get pre-show jitters every single time. Like, I get wicked nervous, but once like 30 seconds go by and it's going all right, then I'm fine. Like,
you know, Tommy and Waylon told me, said if you don't ever get nervous before a show, you're not doing it right.
Well, that makes me feel a hell of a lot better. Because it's like people are like, what are you nervous about? You've done it hundreds and hundreds of times. It's like, so?
I
don't know any.
You know,
I don't know any of these fucking people. Like, you know.
Yeah, really. I mean,
I guess it's.
They don't know how this song goes. They just heard it way back.
I mean, if you're at like your home stomping ground and like the same 30 people are there, I could imagine not being as nervous. It's like,
well, when you're in front of like 10, 15,000 people.
Yeah. It's like you only
a little different than playing in front of 100 or 200.
So I think 100 or 200 is the most I've gotten, like altogether.
Right.
But I'm still relatively new at it, at least on the professional level.
You've been doing it what, about 20 years?
Not quite. I started doing it legitimately when I was 18. So.
Okay.
About, maybe 15, 16.
I was in my first band when I was 13 years old.
See, I was just learning at that point.
Oh, okay.
It's like I had heard Rush when I was 12, or 2112, ironically. See, and then I was like, oh, I want to do that, you know? I was like, that was like the second song I learned how to play. And my dad's like, you're going to drive yourself nuts. Like, these guys all have master's degree in music. It's like, this cannot be the song you want to learn right now. Like, you need to take steps. I'm like, no. It's like, I want that to be the first step. It's like, so every other step is way more impressive, you know?
Well, let me tell you a little something. I'm in a band right now that I am so excited about. We're just going to kick some major butt.
Right? I did a little intro promo like before I called you, saying that we were both in a band together. You know, Swamp Frog.
That's right, Swamp Frog.
I said, we got no originals yet, but I said that it's coming. Like, some of the ones, we have a guitarist, another one other than myself, Dave Decker. So who's just fucking impressive. Like,
oh god, that guy's really he's something else.
There's not anybody in this band that I think is a weak link. Like, really not at all. I mean,
and then there's Mr. Mike Labelle.
Mike
bass.
Jeez. Hearing you two guys feeding off each other is what's fun about that.
He's just nasty.
It's like, 'cause he'll hear like a little fill that you're doing in one measure, and he'll catch that shit. And then the second one, he'll match what you're doing, like boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, and you wouldn't think it would add that much to add like those little 16th notes to your hi-hats. It's like, but it does. Like, I notice it.
Yep.
You know.
Well, I'm glad somebody does.
I should have been a bass player. Like deep down, it's like I see these memes on Facebook. It's like things a guitarist never says. It's like I prefer playing rhythm. Well, that's me. Like I honestly prefer rhythm.
Bass is my second choice.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, you definitely got natural rhythm. You know, like I've played with some drummers where they can't keep time at all, or they speed up, or they slow down. It's like, why are you doing drums then? Like, you know, like you're supposed to keep the time.
Hey, way back, I played with a funk band one time. That was a lot of fun.
I bet so.
It was a lot of. I mean, we had the horn section and the whole works.
Oh, I love horns. I absolutely love horns.
That was fun.
I got to play the closest I've gotten to a funk thing. It's a buddy of mine. Shout out to the Super Stash Brothers. I got offered to play bass, like to fill in for Billy Comstock, who's him and Mikey are pretty much on par, just on different levels. You know, like Billy's a little bit more of a jazz guy, whereas Mikey's got the slap and stuff. But you know, he asked me, he's like, "What are you doing? You know, such and such date?" I'm like, "Oh, nothing." He's like, "You want to fill in for bass for me?" And the musician in me was like, "Yeah, sure." You know, like, and then I got to thinking about it. It's like, you've never played bass on a gig ever, and your first step into the water is funk. It's like, and I refused to use a pick. You know, I was like, no, he's like, you can't play with a pick. It's like, you can play funk music. So, thankfully, it was just half of the night. This bass player shows up, my fingers are bleeding. Because people are like, just use a pick. I'm like, never! Like, I gave that dude a hug. I was like, thank God you're here. Like, I can't play anymore. Like, I literally just can't. But I'll tell you what, that was one of the more fun gigs I've ever had. Like, bass is fun.
Yeah, playing funk music like that is fun.
Yeah.
When you have the horns behind you and the little rhythm section back there. And
yeah, it's like jazz without the confusion.
Yeah.
You know, like, because I like jazz when it's done correctly. You know?
Yeah.
Or at least my opinion of correct. It's like, but the freeform stuff, even that you get lost in. It's
right.
It's like jazz with rules. Funk. You know?
We need to do some more funk.
I wouldn't mind doing some like Wild Cherry, you know, like play that funky music, white boy.
That's right.
You know, that'd be a good one. I mean,
hey, yeah, we could do stuff like that.
I know Mikey had brought up a couple Earth, Wind, and Fire tunes, and
yeah, he had said something about some maybe our Casey and the Sunshine Band.
oh yeah.
Some of that kind of stuff, and do it our way.
I would be completely up for it. It's like when Dave was, you know, dicking around with Eastbound and Down. It's like, that would be a fucking perfect song. Like, you rock that up a little bit, and people will remember that type of thing, you know?
Exactly.
Or maybe they won't. Leave a message in the comments, people. Tell us if that's something you want to hear.
Yeah, really.
We appreciate all feedback, as long as it doesn't have to do with fucking cargo shorts. I had to leave a comment on somebody, and the admin had taken them down because it was...
Oh, man, that band Central grabbed right a hold of that stuff. Oh. And another guy the other day said, you know what, guys? This is getting ridiculous about the cargo shorts. I had
a guy actually own up to something. It wasn't about cargo shorts, but somebody... It was a vaccination type post, you know, and the guy was like, well, maybe if you get vaccinated, it's like you would be able to play more gigs. And he's like, I bet I've played more gigs than you've played in the last week, and they were all better. You know, I just thought it was unnecessarily mean, you know? And
yeah, it was.
And so I sent the guy a message, like, look, man, it's like, I live in New Hampshire. It's like, I don't have to be required to get vaccinated to play in most venues in the state. It's like, so being vaccinated has nothing to do with the amount of gigs that you get. It's like, it just depends on where you live. It's like, that was kind of a narcissistic comment that you made. It's like, it was kind of uncalled for. You should apologize.
Yeah.
And he did.
If Flea can play in his underwear, I can play in shorts.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, it depends. If you are a top-level cover band, then yes, dress appropriately. Like, you know your surroundings. Like, but you got these people that are just like, they're using an iPad, they're using shorts, shun them, don't listen to them, they suck. It's like, these guys are just out there trying to make a living and have fun. It's like, a lot of these, cover band groups, it's just a hobby.
Yeah.
And to give them shit for it.
It's just like that one guy said that I wasn't doing that beat in that one tune that we did. He didn't really listen to it that close. I was doing exactly what they do.
Yeah, I mean, it's also a recording. It's like, there's definitely going to be some things that are lost, because that room didn't pick up low end that well.
Right.
Not like the practice, the last one we had in your house there. Like, you heard every little thing, and that was,
Yeah.
I loved it.
I did too. We're going to do it again the 17th, right?
Yeah, as far as I know.
All right.
I mean, I'm planning on it.
I know you are.
And that footage will be available. Oh, sorry, man.
That's all right. Go ahead.
I said that footage will be available a couple days after we record it.
Oh, yeah. People would just watch out for our band, though, when we get going.
I was saying that earlier. It's like, we're still relatively new. It's like, but I don't know. I haven't heard too many groups that sound like us, and maybe I'm extremely biased. It's like, but you know what I'm saying? Like,
we are a cover band with our twist on it.
I think it's just in your face rock and roll.
I think everybody should get their own style of playing, their own identity in playing, and not try to do to the letter.
Yeah, because you're not a jukebox.
And if you can do that, more power to you. But there was a guy on there the other day on Band Central said, well, if you can't play letter to, note for note, you're not a musician.
Well, I guess I'm not a musician then.
I guess I'm not either.
I mean, maybe I could if I, took the time to, have no soul.
Right.
It's like, I'm sorry. It's like, I like to feel the music that I play. It's like, and if I'm copying what somebody else is doing, then there's no feeling involved. Like, it's...
Right. And if I want to listen to a song exactly, I'm going to keep my money in my pocket, go buy me some beer, and sit in the living room and listen, to the music on TV or something.
Yeah, that's what records are for. Like, to listen to a certain way. It's like, one of the reasons to go out and even see a band is for the energy and the vibe of it. It's like...
And if these people would realize that these bands don't play exactly like they did on the record when they're in concert either.
No, when I saw the Allman Brothers, it was like 90% of everything was different. I mean, granted, you got Warren Hayes as opposed to, Dickie Betts and Dwayne, But,
right.
But still, I mean, when I saw him, it was Warren Hayes and Derek Trucks. And it was very different. It's like, but it was also very good.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Greg Allman sounded a little old, but he just crushed it like he always does. I enjoy seeing a performance. Even if you go see like somebody like Slash, like in Guns N' Roses, he'll even say that. It's like, look,
right.
I'll play Paradise City. The doodle-doo, doodle-doo, doodle-doo. It's like, because that's not a solo. That's part of the song. It's
right.
But I don't ever play the same solo twice. It's like, what's the fucking point?
I've seen them not do it too.
I mean, I'm glad you don't, because I've had drummers that play the same drum solos or fills all the time, and it's like, I might as well get a drum machine.
Yeah, it's no fun.
Like, if you're gonna do that, might as well get a drum machine, sequence the back. Like, because I don't need a robot drummer. It's like, I need someone that's gonna, carry the backbone of the band. It's like, and set the pace. Like, that's what you do. It's one of the reasons I love playing with you so much. Like, you set the pace. It's right there. It's solid. It's like, and I can rely on it. It's like, while at the same time, it's not robotic and predictable.
Right. Because when you guys kick off the song, that's what I go with. I'm not going to change the tempo. Sorry.
So, I know you've done you got some cool road stories. What's one of your favorite, like tour stories or stories of you on the road and such?
I can't say some of them.
Or what's the first one that comes to mind, Well, if it's too bad, I can always edit around it.
All right, listen, when we were in Canada, Earl Thomas Conley would go right in and sit down and eat with everybody. He wasn't one of these snooty type performers.
Okay.
And we'd pull in somewhere, and when these nice buses come in, everybody's up at the window look like a bunch of owls looking out the window. And by the time we got off the bus and got to the door, the whole staff in the place would be standing there at the door waiting for us to seat us and everything. And people would take their plates. Hey, here, sit here.
Yeah.
We leave tickets for them for the show that night and stuff like that. But man, it made me feel 10 foot tall. I loved it.
Right. I mean, I've only had one scenario that I recall was where we got to sell tickets. And we sold quite a few of them. Like, I mean, back then, what I thought was impressive, like, we can get 30 people to buy tickets, I'll be happy. It's like, well, I think we got, like, I don't know, Mike, you'll have to correct me on it because he was in the band too, but it was like 75 to 120 or something like that. And I was
right.
Like, oh my God, like 120 different people actually want to see me play? That's fucking cool. Like,
yeah.
They paid legitimate American currency to see me strum my instrument. The dream is real. Like,
Back in Virginia, I was with a band called Long Rider, and we rented the Armory in Rocky Mount, Virginia, and this place was huge. We got our liquor license so people could bring their bags in.
Yeah.
And we sold every ticket and then some. We had to turn people away because we couldn't have them in the building. It was packed. We made like $375 a piece. We made so much money that night. No. Plus, we paid for the building and everything.
It's always good when you get the fire marshal involved,
Yeah.
I remember same band that Mikey and I were in back in the day, like the place in Rutland, Vermont. I think it's called The Venue now, but it used to be Pub 42. It used to be only about maybe a quarter of the size that it is now. And at the time, I think it said like 175 people, which is not realistic in this place.
Right.
That's what it said on the wall. And it was one Halloween party. We had that place raged, like packed. You could not get inside the door. The fire marshal was just completely livid. Like, he was like, you need to get these people out. It's like, so we had people literally dancing in the streets.
Wow.
And so I noticed, like, because that was my local watering hole. Like, so I'd get out of work, and I'd stop there for happy hour. And I look at the sign, and it went from 175 to 75. Like, they dropped it by 100 fucking people. I was like, that's, I'll hold that. Yeah.
Oh, wow. It dropped like a rock, didn't it?
I mean, I don't have any cool major stories like you do, but I got my little local hero stories.
Well, I played with a band named Ronnie Vaughn. He was our guitarist. His whole family was a band, the Vaughn family.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, his dad played guitar. He played guitar. His mom played keyboard and sang.
Yeah.
His sister played bass, and his brother played drums. And they lived down in Tennessee. Johnny Cash was his next door neighbor, and then the next one over was Tammy Wynette.
Wow.
And George Jones.
Wow.
And he said, God, George had come home drunk. You could hear Tammy yelling and screaming. So Ron used to grow his weed over on Charlie Downey's land. He was across the lake.
I was like, Charlie would be the one. You know?
We go there to check out his weed one day, and the cows done eat it all. He said, man, there wasn't nothing but little nubs sticking up out of the ground.
I wish I could have just seen the reaction. Like, they're going like, check out, man, I got a whole field of these you know, it's just gone. It's like,
So he tells the worker there with the cattle, said, hey, when you get some milk off them cows, I want some of it.
yeah, give me some of your special milk.
But yeah, they used to go next door to Johnny's house and have barbecues and just play and everything. And Ron and them used to play on the Opry on the radio every Sunday and stuff. He's a really interesting guy.
It sounds like it. I mean, it's cool to hear stories like that, because everybody assumes like these, you know, like people like Johnny Cash and George Jones, like these just legends of country and stuff. Like, they're also people. Like, they go to barbecues, you know, they go to the grocery store, they do the same stuff that we do. Like, just because they make gold records, you know.
Right.
It's like, so it's just cool to hear, like, oh, it's like somebody ate, you know, Charlie Daniels' pot field. Like, you know,
so check this out. My wife's aunt was friends with Merle Haggard and Bonnie, his wife.
Okay.
And she used to go to all of them, all of his shows. And they go down and stop by their house, have dinner with them, and all kind of stuff.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah. And from what I understand, he was such a humble guy. And he never thought, he said, why is everybody so into my records and everything? But he never thought he was that good.
I mean, you know, that's not that uncommon. I mean, I know that's my thing. Like, I listen to some stuff that people are like, that was so good. I'm like, I think it sucks, you know? Like, I know Eddie Van Halen thought the same way. He thought he wasn't a very good guitar player. You know, it's like, really? It's like, but I think that's, if you don't think you're good, it always encourages you to try harder and take the next step and be better.
I'd hate to see somebody, I'd hate to see him if he wasn't good.
Right? Even when he was shit-faced, he was still better than some of these singers now. Like, have you seen Vince Neil from Motley Crue lately? Oh, it's hard to watch.
I know.
It's really hard to watch. They're coming out doing Dr. Feelgood. He's not even singing it, and he's singing in his talking voice. It's like, Vince, like, some of these people have paid like $800-900 to see you, and they're getting fat freaking drunk karaoke Vince. Like, it's like, I'd rather hear the guy they got from Scream to come back in and sing for him. It's like, because this is, I would be furious.
Right.
You know, if I paid that type of money, like, I mean, I was pissed when Boston disappointed me, and I didn't even pay for that concert.
And look at Mick Jagger. He can still sing.
Yeah. I'll give him credit that he's, you know, pretty old and stuff, so he's not going to be able to hit everything. But he sounds pretty damn good.
Most of it. Yeah.
He sounds pretty damn good for his age. And
he does.
Paul McCartney is just barely starting to sound his age, like, live.
Right.
Like, because it was not this McCartney 3 that came out, but Egypt Station. If you bought the deluxe version, it had the first 3 songs of the album done live. And so you should never do that again, Paul. It's like, 'cause you can hear every creak in your voice. It works in the albums. Like the one he did in like 2013, I think it was called New. But it was a track called Early Days. And they stripped all the effects off his voice, so he just sounded like, you know, 70-year-old Paul. And it was beautiful. Like, it really worked. It's like, not like when you want to hear Day Tripper and you hear, oh, yeah. You know? It's like, I don't want to see Paul like that. It's like, I don't remember Paul being perfect.
Yeah, really.
I mean, I can't give too much shit. The guy's 80 years old, you know? Or 82,
Right.
or however it is. I think he's 82 because it's John Lennon's 81st birthday. I think it was last week, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that, yeah, Ringo's the oldest, Paul was just barely younger, and George was the baby.
Yeah, and he's gone for the other ones.
Huh? Yeah, he was...
George is gone before the other ones.
I mean, other than John.
Yeah.
So, you know, it kind of went almost in order.
Backwards.
I do think Ringo's going to be the last one, though. I really do. 'Cause,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Paul's looking pretty old, and Ringo's kind of starting to look old, but he still drums like better than anybody I know. Like,
I know. I know.
it's like, how do you do that? It's like, how do you? I mean, I know he plays with 2 drummers. He won't do it by himself anymore. He said, that,
Right.
no. It's like, if you can get another drummer to play with you and play exactly what you're doing, it's like, it is so satisfying what the sound is.
Right.
And I didn't get that. The first band I saw with 2 drummers was the Doobie Brothers. And
Yeah.
it was like, holy shit. It's like, this changes the game. It's like, because you got one guy, you know, they're all hitting the same kicks and snares, like, but the cymbal work's all different.
Yeah.
It's like, and so you're getting such a full drum tone. It's like, I totally get it. It's like
And then
having...
there's drummers like us, you know, that we're the only one, and you guys want us to do both parts.
Yeah. It's like, which part do you want? It's like, do you want the or the
And then you say, well, we want them both. And then we look at you like deer in the headlights.
Well, then you get into
What?
what's the word I'm looking for? Careful territory of playing along with tracks.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, I don't have anything against tracks. It's like, to a point.
Right.
If you're relying on the tracks and it's taking over the mix, then yeah, you might as well have drum triggers and, you know, and not have any soul.
Right.
Because I do think it sounds polished and nice. It's like, about the extent that I like putting tracks in it are like sound effects. Like, I know we wanted to do You May Be Right, like Billy Joel, or something like that, like adding like the smashing glass in the beginning, you know, or if we wanted to do Twilight Zone, having that, or
Well, we can do that.
yeah, like that stuff. I think it adds to it, like big times, because chances are you don't have the tools available to you to make it sound identical.
Mm-hmm.
And I know technically you have to pay for it.
Right.
So we don't do that.
No. Hey, just have a mic near a rock and let me have a bottle and I'll crash it.
Yeah. I'll do you one better. I was like, I'll just lean over and it's like, just smash me in the dome with it. It's like, people will get into that. Hey, it's not the craziest thing I've heard. Dropkick Murphys used to get into fist fights before their shows. When they first got together, they would this is a true story. I saw the tapes. They would, before they would go on and play, about 10 minutes before they'd start, they'd get everybody, like, make sure nobody knew they were going. They'd have a little plot in the parking lot out back. They'd draw like a sumo circle, and they would just beat the living fuck out of each other. And the last one in the circle was the winner. And then they'd go right out all busted up and bloody, and they'd play their show. Now they're smart enough. Now they have boxing events before their shows. That's not them. You know, like,
Right.
but the thing is, it works. It's like, I didn't do that like to that extreme. It's like, but in the first band I was in, Big Boots DeVille, I was like, I wonder why they do that. And it's like, well, you ever been slapped in the face? Like, you kind of get pissed off and you get fired up, you know. And so we started doing that before every gig. Like, we'd go out like into the basement or whatever bar we were playing at, and each one of us would get slapped in the face by the other one. It's like, we make sure everybody got everybody once. And we'd go out and we'd play. And that first, like, pre-song jitters was gone because you're like, motherfucker hit me. You know, like, I want to make sure I play better than him. You know? But, like, it does work. I mean, I don't recommend us slapping each other, but I bet you'd pack a good punch.
I can see Mike now slapping me and calling me a bitch.
The funny thing is, like, the first band I was in, it was kind of similar to this one. Like, our drummer was the oldest, like, but he was a marathon runner.
Hey, what are you trying to say, man?
I'm saying he was the strongest puncher. I'm saying the other guys would kind of lighten up on me and be like, you know, light taps. Like, he would just full hand cock back, flash. He's like, you can take it. He's like, I'm the old guy. If you can't handle a slap from me, he's like, you shouldn't be in the band. And I just be like, man, Bob, that hurts. And, you know, he's the drummer. His hands are nice and, he's got the right muscle memory in his wrists and stuff to just flick me with his fingers, you know, and draw blood.
Damn.
So that is a tradition I miss and I don't at the same time. You know?
Well, I could kick you in the balls before we start.
Well, Rochambeau. Boom. Yeah, it might help with some of them higher notes.
I know Mike and David get a kick out of it.
Oh, yeah. They wouldn't stop laughing. Although I wouldn't want to be... Mike's probably the hardest hitter out of all of us. I wouldn't want to get hit in any part by Mikey.
No, me either.
It's like he used to do that, you know, the ultimate fight and stuff. It's like, nope.
Yeah.
It's like, I've gotten into a couple altercations, but for the most part, I don't enjoy fighting. It's like, so I don't really know what my limitations are. And I don't want to find out.
I get mad at somebody and my wife goes, you realize how old you are? Are you stupid or what?
Well, hey, man, you ain't going to take any shit. That's the biggest problem, I think, with today, is people are too tolerant.
And, you know, Denise is 15 years younger than I am, and I think she really probably knows better than me.
Oh, I'd be the same way. I can picture myself, you know, in a wheelchair even, and be like, what'd you say to me, motherfuckers? Like, oh, come over here, I'll wheel over and fuck you up. Like, come on, fight the guy in the chair.
Oh, I was terrible when I was a truck driver, man. Oh, God, I was go off on everybody. And I had to retire out of it. I was afraid to don't run over and kill somebody.
So, what is your favorite truck story? Because I know a lot of those stories are pretty interesting.
Oh, man, I got a bunch of those.
What's the first one that comes to mind? You know, like, it was like, hey, what's your most fond memory of running a rig?
I picked up a load of cereal up at Battle Creek, Michigan. And I took it down to South Carolina to Piggly Wiggly. And I was supposed to be there at like 8 o'clock in the morning. Well, I got there at like 6:30, 6:45. And about 7:30, I took my paperwork to the guardhouse. And he took it and got on the phone and let him know I was there. And he started looking funny at me. I thought, oh, shit, here we go. Well, we're not taking that today. I've got another load waiting on me. So I walked out in the parking lot. I didn't say anything to him. I was looking around. I found me a spot to back up to the fence. I opened the doors up, backed up to the fence. Well, cases of cereal's not heavy. I started tossing them over the fence.
Yes.
So here come all these white shirts coming running out of the office and said, you can't do that. I said, watch me. I said, watch this. And I take one and toss it over. See, I can do that. Well, I ain't signing your paperwork. I don't need you to.
The kid's like, see, I can do that.
So I unloaded my truck, pulled away from the gate, shut the doors, and went on my way.
Oh, that's great.
Another one. There was 3 or 4 of us down in Tennessee getting loaded the dry beans. And we were going to Stop and Shop over in Jersey.
Okay.
Well, the other two guys already got their appointment time, and I called, and the lady was really nasty and rude with me. And she goes, well, you can't get here in time. I said, I'll be there. I don't know why the hell you're taking this, and you're going to just take somebody else's appointment time. I said, I'll be there. So I get there. Mine was for 7 o'clock. So I get there, and I go up to the guard shack, and this son of a bitch gives me the same look again. Like, oh shit, here we go. Well, she gave that appointment away to somebody else after because she said you wasn't going to make it. Now I'm pissed. So me and the other guys get in the truck. What you gonna do, Gary? What you gonna do? Now I pulled around to the gate, and the guard comes out and goes, "Oh man, come on, don't do this." I said, "Look, dude," I said, "we can do this one way." I said, "You can either raise it, and you'll get bitched at, or I can break it, and you'll get bitched at." So he raised it. So I pull around there, I take the seal off, and I back up to a dock, and I went inside. They came in with me. I found me a jack to take them off the truck. So I'm taking them off the truck. And this dude in the office comes running out there in his white shirt. And I chased him back in the office. And I'm on top of this guy's desk trying to get to him. I was going to kick his ass. Anyway, I called the dispatcher, and he said, you know what? If you don't want your load, you don't want none of them. So we brought them all back up to Vermont here.
Yeah.
And they sat here for like 2 or 3 months. And they go, well, when you guys going to bring that back down? And the dispatcher told them, said, well, they were already there and you didn't want them.
Yeah. I would have said
And,
what do you want
just
us to do?
Stupid crap like that. But see, I was, after that, I went owner-operator. And I came home when I wanted to come home. Well, you can't do that. Well, when you start paying the payment on this truck, then I'll do what you tell me to do.
Let's say you can do whatever you want when you own your own rig.
Exactly. Well, hell, they used to keep you out for Christmas and all that shit.
Yeah, that's...
And my butt's coming home for Christmas and Thanksgiving and
right.
Valentine's Day.
Is that somebody who actually
I didn't really need to have an excuse to come home.
Yeah, well, it's the holidays, you know? Do you really need one? Other than that it's the holiday?
Nope. I just come home whenever the heck I wanted to.
Well, yeah, we're going to take a little break here. I'm gonna play an original song of mine that I'm hoping that our band will do one day. This one is called Rock On. Link is in the description. Check it out. Stay tuned for more.
Winding style, rock your wild, rock on, child, rock on, rock on. Rock me, baby, rock me lazy, rock me crazy, rock on, rock on. Rock your style, rock your wild, rock on, child, rock on, rock on. Rock me, baby, rock me lazy, rock me crazy, rock on, rock on. Rock your style, rock your wild, rock on, child, rock on, rock on. Rock on, rock on. Rock on, rock on. Rock on, rock on. Rock on, rock on.
So that was Rock On, an original that I hope one day the band Swamp Frog can do. One of the originals. Wrote it many years ago to be played out live. I know you've only heard the song a couple times, Gary, but
Yeah, that's a good tune.
I'm just trying to, one of the things I'm trying to do with the podcast is, one, promote my own original stuff,
Right.
just kind of all aspects of life, like I said, you've led kind of a freaking really interesting life, doing the, doing the truck driving and, your military service and, just your music stuff, like all the, people that you've played with. And
I just feel good when I'm playing music.
me too. Like, it's really nothing like quite like it. Like, there's no even drug you can take that gives you that same feeling with, like, when you're on stage and the whole band is just completely together and you're just in the zone,
Exactly.
There's just nothing. You just get, I don't know how it feels for you, but for me, like, it just rushes up my back.
Yep.
And
yep.
I just have a big fucking smile on my face, like, yep, we can do no wrong. It's like, these people are dancing, it's like they're having a good time. It's like they're forgetting about all the bad shit that's going on in their lives, and it's because of what we're doing. It's like,
And that's what we're there for.
I agree. Like, I completely agree. And like I said, I haven't known you very long, but I consider you one of my best friends now. Like, I'm glad our paths crossed. Like, it's kind of
you too, man.
it was kind of a weird way that it happened, but I'm glad that it did.
I am too. Mike says the same thing. Just the Matt thing happened for a reason. So.
Yeah, I mean, and don't get me wrong, the stuff you guys do with Matt is really good as well. Like, nobody around, like, in the Northeast that I hear is doing, like, the 50s rock roll stuff, like, or the Brian Setzer stuff. Like, for one,
Right.
not a lot of people are really into that style. Two, not a lot of people can play that style because it's really difficult. You're talking about, like, the early moments when, like, blues and jazz were, like, the accepted medium. It's like, and then let's speed it up. It's like, so
Exactly.
let's take this one measure where there's 32 separate notes in a 16 measure. It's like, and let's just do it faster.
Yeah.
And that stuff was fast. One of my favorite, like, old standard tune, it's not standard, but it was an old Nat King Cole song called "It's Better to Be By Yourself." And some of the stuff that guitarist was playing, like, kind of the stuff like Chuck Berry adopted, like, when he first started playing. It's like,
Right.
this is not easy guitar work. Like,
No.
it's like back then, it's like the drummer and the guitarist I thought worked the hardest. It's like, and the bass player too, because usually they have the upright basses. Like, no discredit to those guys. If you can play an upright bass, you're doing it right. Like,
Right.
I didn't know this for the longest time. The Bare Naked Ladies, like, when they first started, all upright bass.
Huh.
All of it. Like, it was when, it's been 1 week since you looked at me, when that stuff started getting big, where he adopted the electric bass. But I was like, no shit. It's like, that probably explains why I love their first, like, 2-3 albums. Like, and that bass tone just sounds really just, thumpy.
Yeah. Yeah, I love the sound of an upright bass.
There's nothing quite like it. It's like, and there's no frets. Like, how do you do it? You know, like,
I don't know.
I mean, Jack Bruce never used frets.
Kind of like a set of drums with no heads.
Yeah. Well, not really. I mean, you can play a bass without frets. It's like, and the people that I know who do it, it's like there's no comparison.
Right.
I don't know why. It's like for some reason the frets just don't make it sound as nice. Like, how would it make it harder? It's like, well, you can't do a proper slide on a bass with frets. It's like so this gets you that upright tone of boom, you know, like
Right.
instead of a if that makes any sense.
Mike's gonna get you for thinking his bass sounds like that.
Oh no, Mikey can make that sound like whatever he wants. That
Yeah,
dude's
he
got
can.
so much freaking technique. Like I strive to even be, you know, half as good as he is. Like technique
Well, you
wise.
guys are why we're that good.
Well, I think it's all of us. It really is. If anybody was replaced, it wouldn't sound the same.
Well, all I'm saying is we need to get this thing rolling, man, because I ain't getting no younger.
Right? It's like first COVID, you know, freaking puts a halt to things. Like we had a slow start because of that. It's like, and then your heart surgery. It's like, well, then there's
I
that.
know,
And
man.
then you guys get COVID again. It's like what the hell? It's like then yeah, just been one thing after the other, you know. But you know, a lot of cool band stories I think have that inner turmoil in the beginning. That's
Right.
not caused by them. So that's the one thing I can say about you guys. It's like when we finally got down to what we have now, like with us four, there's been no drama. Absolutely
Nope,
none of that
not at all.
None of that ego bullshit. Like we all respect each other and we're open to each other's opinions and you know, like I know, like from my own experience, and I know Mikey said the same thing. And a lot of the bands that we're in, it's like we get pegged as the babies, you know, like because we're the youngest. It's like so
Right.
obviously what we say doesn't matter. You know, what could we possibly know? You know, about playing music or stuff like that. We're, you know what I'm saying? It's like we're in this
I know.
band. You know, you listen to the, you know, if I'm talking bullshit, you're like, well, that's bullshit. You know, it's like, but if it sounds right,
You'll listen to it.
yeah, you still, you know, you at least acknowledge it. You know, and I know Mikey is loving that shit, like, because he knows a lot, like, especially as far as like running boards and the promotional aspect of it.
Right.
And he's right on top of it, and it's nice to be able to be heard.
Right, and I have a little going on about how to put a show together and stuff too.
Yeah.
You know,
And
so
I'm soaking all that up like a sponge, you know, because I want to try to be the best I can be, you know. It's like I just listen to what everybody has to say and do my best to make everybody happy, you know.
I know it probably irritates you guys sometimes when I'm, you know, when we go through a song and I say, hey, why don't we do this little ditty in there? Or why don't we do this? You
That
know?
doesn't irritate me at all.
It drives Matt nutty.
See, for me, it's like even if I'm a completely 100% against changing anything,
Yeah.
I'll at least hear you out. It's like, because wait,
Right.
what if it sounds good? You know what I mean? Like, you're not going to know unless you try. It's like, and if it sounds
Right.
like shit, then there you go. You know it sounds like shit. Like,
Right.
there's,
Exactly.
There's no harm in trying to be experimental.
And you've got it on tape.
Yeah. And that's the reason I like to record everything. I wish like hell I got in that Billy Squier tune, because that came out fucking perfect.
Which one?
When we played The Stroke,
Oh yeah.
I got lost because the battery died on my camera. So I was like,
Yeah, that one and the other one that we went through. The one Dave changed out.
oh, well, we got part of Turn Me Loose
Yeah.
on the footage, but we didn't make it through the song because I think the charts that I got weren't right or something.
Right.
So I was like, I'm pretty sure it goes to the chorus at some point, and we haven't done it yet. That that happens with that app that I got every now and then. Like, for 99% of the time, it's perfect. It's like, and then that 1%, you get somebody that, like, charted it with a capo or something.
Yeah.
Like, or doesn't really know the structure of the song. It's like, well, it's $7. What do you want? It's like, I don't have to chart it myself. And there's
Right.
usually more than one version I can go off of.
See, and that's another thing with you three guys, is you try to help each other chart out stuff so you have it all in front of you.
Yeah. Well, you know, you got to look at it like a business. It's like if everybody's reading, you know, a different agenda, you're going to have different results.
Exactly.
It's like, so if everybody's just going off the same thing, we're all reading the same stuff, like, in theory, it's like, even if it's wrong, we'll at least all be together. You know?
Right.
And I think that's the most important thing you can have. Like, is just making sure that everybody's playing the same thing and everybody's on top of each other.
Exactly.
But, well, Gary, I think I'm going to close this up on you. But
Okay.
it's been, thank you again for joining the podcast. I'd
Thanks
love to
for
have you
asking.
back sometime, like in the future, like when I figure out a little bit more about how to run this damn thing. You know? But yeah, I'll talk to you soon, bud.
Okay, buddy.
All right, take care, man.
All right, later.
So that was Garry Boothe. You want to check out some of our Swamp Frog stuff? Links are going to be down below in the description. You know, we've got some fall rehearsals in there, some songs, you know, from those rehearsals that I've edited up that are also on my YouTube page, Keegan Farr YouTube. Yeah. So that does it for this week. Till next time, peace and love, everybody.